So always start with the budget first. Really, it's that magic number at the end of it in terms of, I guess, A, are you able to meet your life's costs comfortably? And B, do you have enough money left over where you can do all the big things like buy a home, like pay down your mortgage, stuff like that.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I've got this amazing human who has looked after me quite a few times over the last year or so. His name's Sal. How are you, Sal?
Good, mate. Good. Loving the show from Monday, like I mentioned. Always great to start the day or the week off as bright as that. I can tell you that much.
Well, speaking of bright, like you're probably one of the most positive guys I've pretty much ever met. You're one of those people, you can do one-arm push-ups. I'm completely inspired by you as a person. So today, right now, I'd love to get to know a little bit about who Sal is. Who are you? You know, what's your background? Where have you come from? And what do you do now?
Okay, fair enough. That's such a loaded question. I have to think about that one for a second. So my name's Sal. I'm 28 years old. I work at Aureus Financial. I'm one of the senior wealth coaches here. And I guess my history and where I've come from, I don't know, mate. I'm just a simple kid from the Northern Beaches. Worked my way up through my teenage years. I think a key part about me was once I left school, not knowing what the hell to do. And I guess stumbling upon an opportunity here with where I work at the moment and pursuing studies in this field, doing what I love, helping people, being in front of clients rather than behind a desk, chatting to lovely people like yourself and helping them achieve some goals. On a side to, I guess, my professional career, I like, as you know, as you mentioned, one-arm push-ups. I'm really, really, really into my fitness. I feel like it's a big driver in my life. And I guess half the reason why I'm so positive all the time, because I start the day off a little bit uncomfortable, but I feel like those that do that and have those little habits every day, it makes a killing to, I guess, your whole perspective of life. So, mate, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. So how many one-arm push-ups can you do in one go, mate?
How many one-arm? But I can probably do like 10, 15.
That is 15. Just so not okay for someone who has trouble doing push-ups full stop, and you're doing 10 or 15 one arm. Can you do it on both sides? Have you got one stronger than the other?
No, I'm what's the word that you think you're when you can use two hands? Ambidextrous. Yeah, I'm ambidextrous with my push-ups.
Yeah, wow. So I'd love to sort of backtrack this a little bit. You know, quite often for people who jump out of school, you have no idea what the hell you want to do. I ended up becoming an IT programmer because I didn't know what to do. My brother was one, and he came home with a stereo, a TV, and a VCR after his first pay packet. So I was like, I don't know what to do, but that looks pretty good. So I decided to do an IT degree. So what about yourself? Like, you had no idea what you wanted to do, and you sort of fell into the financial stuff. What happened?
Yeah, I feel like it's a big issue with a lot of people in school. To be fair, my school did preach it in like years 9 and 10. Start thinking about a career. I sort of put it on the back burner a little bit because you're like 14, 15 at that stage of life. You have absolutely no idea. When I got to the end of high school, I guess I went to a careers expo, and I always knew that I wanted to help people. So I went to a careers expo looking for someone, and I saw a guy in a blue uniform. It was an ambo, And I thought that'd be pretty sick to do. So I gave it a bit of a crack. So once I left school, I pursued I guess, a degree in paramedics.
Yeah,
So
wow.
in the ambulances, going around chasing people. I got as far as doing my internship about 3 years in, before I realized that it got a bit scary when a couple of my people in my degree in the years up were actually placed out in Whoop Whoop. So like rural New South Wales. I had a friend of mine who was in policing, and they do the same kind of placements in policing and ambulance services. He was
Oh, wow.
placed
I
out
didn't
in
know that.
Nyngan. Yeah, they got placed out in Nyngan. I'm not sure if you've heard of Nyngan before. It's like 7 hours west of New South Wales.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm from this. Yeah, I'm from the city. I'm a city boy by heart. Heck, even Donabelle was saying when we were at the islands, because I'm in the Philippines at the moment, going around the Philippines, and she said you could only hack the islands for a couple of days because you're a city boy. Hey, and I was like, it's definitely true. So I got cold feet and I left. To be fair, it was a career that I really pursued, like I really wanted to do, but to be away from family and to be away from like, the people that you love, was probably the hardest part for me. Once that happened, I had no idea what to do. Fell in a bit of a rut. Not sure what I wanted to pursue. Just did part-time work on the side. I was getting by, but I knew that something had to change quite quickly. And I guess that kind of fear kicked in where, you want to make something of yourself. You want to like make your parents happy and eventually look after your parents when they're older because they're probably going to retire sometime soon. That kind of fear kicked in. And I remember I was looked through a careers book and I saw like financial advice. You sit in front of clients, you talk to people, and you help them. And it's with money you help people with their money, put them in a better position so you never have an issue with money. I thought that'd be cool. And I worked, I guess, not only was it from looking at it from that sense, I think it was the people that I worked with in my field that really pushed me forward. So having good mentors like Jackson as an example, who really care for their clients and do some wonders, really, I guess, solidified my happiness to be in the industry.
So how did you find Jackson and Sam? Like what happened there?
True story. When we needed to do an internship, you had to find your own internship in the third year of uni. And they worked at a business called Yellow Brick Road, which is literally 500 meters from my house.
Right.
And I just walked in the door and I was like, hey mate, here's my resume. Can you give us a bit of a shot? That was to their assistant, gave it to Jackson, and then Jackson told me this story after. Jackson put it on a desk and was like, nah, my team is pretty good as it is. But I didn't take no for an answer. And they taught us at uni that you have to chase your employers. So I chased him. I followed him up on LinkedIn and I called him. I was like, hey, I saw your LinkedIn. You look like a pretty cool bloke. Done some wonders for your clients. Can you give me a bit of a crack? And he said, if it wasn't for that call, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Oh, well done, mate. And I think this is really, really important, listeners, that look, you have to actually put your effort in. And I think a lot of people sit and wait for opportunities, and this is when life passes us by. I know when I stepped into wanting to be a healer a very, very long time ago, I had to actually put some effort in, and I saw a lot of people have hopes and dreams. And I think hopes and dreams can sit in someone's head and stay there, and we live a life of regret. And what I'm hearing from you, Sal, is you never wanted to be sitting in front of a computer screen, even though you do a lot of it, because you're actually sitting in front of a computer screen doing what we're doing now, which is helping people, change their financial lives.
Correct. Exactly right.
Yeah, and I think what you do really well, I'm just going to give you a little bit of kudos here. I'm one of Sal's clients. So I'm really excited. Quite often, I'll muck around with you, Sal, and you're pretty straight laced with me. You go straight to, hang on, I'm here to help you. And so I try and horse around a little bit, try and make you laugh, but it doesn't work. You've got this real laser-like focus to really help your clients, and being a receiver of your care. I don't know, I'm 50. I contacted Jackson. I had I think a 90,000 or a 20,000, $100,000 a month, and I didn't know what to do with it because I was like scared of money. And then you were the person that I got to talk to, that I've spoken to the most out of Aureus. And first thing we did is we set up Profit First. in my business. I'd read the book previously, so I sort of knew what profit was, but I just didn't know what to do because I'm a bit of a nuff. Your calmness and demeanor was just like, this is what we're going to do, Jay. We're going to get this done. How does it feel like, you've seen me right from the beginning and seeing me now, and I know I've still got a long way to go because I feel like I'm going to be a life member of Aureus to get our help, as much help as I can from you guys now. What do you notice about, when you're working with a client who is very, very anxious, probably, you probably may have picked this up or maybe not, around money and finances, and you see the impact that you make on someone else's life. And I'm so grateful because you're actually setting not just me up for my future, you're setting my family up.
Yeah. I see people from all walks of life, mate, from people that are anxious about money to people who think that they're doing the right thing, but probably need, I guess, a bit more help. I love what I do. I guess the biggest thing that I see with a lot of people just comes down to their structure. If they don't have the right structures in place, then everything falls apart. To give you a bare basic, if you want to invest, but you don't do your own budget, then and don't know, I guess, how much you have left over to invest with, then I guess there's not really a point of investing. I think the biggest change that I see with clients and what makes me happy is the calm that they have after that. So going from that anxiety to that peace of mind, knowing that they're making the right decisions, that they're comfortable knowing that they have enough cash to keep the wheels turning in their budget, enough cash to invest for the future, and heck, even enough cash in that investment where if they keep that going long term, their retirement and I guess property desires as an example are sorted. I guess that's the biggest change that I see with clients, typically after a couple of months, which I really thrive on. And the conversations get better, conversations where we have some serious conversations, but like you mentioned, we can have a bit of a laugh at the end because clients are calm. Heck, I could, if like I mentioned, I think in financial services, particularly in our industry, it's all suits, right? People think like somebody in a suit and tie has to give you advice about finances, but more often than not, we're just regular people. Like you mentioned, I'm really big into my fitness. Heck, if I could do a meeting with you with my shirt off and my six pack out, I'd do it. But obviously there's barriers, but that's the biggest joy that I get.
Yeah, and I think this is really important. Like, this is what I found with all of you guys at Aureus. You've got this this demeanor that is that you've got this. You're a normal human, right? And I think from having an experience with you guys and being with other people who are connected to wealth and trying to get help in some regards, I've felt so much more comfortable with the way that you guys share yourself. Jackson's quite often, wearing a hippie t-shirt on his farm. He doesn't care what people think. And I think this is really, really important because the help comes from the wisdom and in the structures that you provide. And I think we do get this whole idea that, I'm not a suit guy, right? So I'd rather get advice from a person who's not in a suit, to be honest. But this is how we think, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it's crazy how society builds it up that way.
Yeah, we build this idea in our head that someone's got to look the part, so then we're going to get the information from them, and it's going to be the right information. And anyone can wear a suit, though. Doesn't mean they know what they're doing.
One thing I learned, and you're big on this, mate, because what I've learned through working with you is that you have a very, I guess, high level of EQ. So there's IQ and there's the, I guess, intellectual part, but there's also the emotional part. And one thing I remember from starting my career in advice is that like our industry is technical as hell. It's compliance as hell. And we deal with a lot of numbers, a lot of technical information. Those people that are in suits, as an example, who might have that high level of IQ, might struggle with that EQ component. And although they have the knowledge, they can't speak to people normally, like we're having a conversation right now, or like we usually do in our catch-ups. And that's where that's a challenge. I remember from when I first started in my field, having to try to bridge that gap because I've never dealt, apart from obviously an internship with paramedics as an example, with clients on that level as well. So that took a while to build.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is really, really important that you've touched on this, Sal, is that emotional intelligence is not built in the financial world. And I think there is a big gap here, because I think emotional instability is what creates reactions around money and an inability to spend properly. So you have to have both of them blended really, really well. So how do you, when you're working with clients and you see you will have seen a fair level of stress, yeah?
Yeah.
How do you handle people in those positions when you know what you're saying, the advice you're giving, and what you're trying to help them with is, for them, it's like feels like a life or death situation sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you. I think the biggest thing that Jackson's helped me on with that one for clients in stressful situations is not make the decision directly for the client. So as an example, don't tell the client what to do. Clients don't like to be bossed around. Rather, give them options. So let's say, as an example, Jason, you're in this situation. We could do this and end up here. We could do this and end up here, or we could do this and end up here. What do you want to do? And I guess it's giving them that flexibility that they have a professional opinion, but they can also make the choice for themselves. Which I guess declutters that stress a little bit and doesn't make them feel like they have to do something or they're being bossed around. I guess it comes down to positioning in a nutshell, but yeah, really, really giving clients flexibility on that part too, that they feel involved in the process rather than you just telling them what to do.
Yeah. I really like getting bossed around by you guys, though.
If you want to keep going that way, we can.
Yeah. The reason why, Sal, is that, when I'm really good at getting feedback. I remember when you got me to put the profit first in, I just had it in within a month. I just went, right,
yeah,
these are the bank accounts, put it in. And I remember your response was, oh, geez, that was quick. How do you handle people who think they might know a lot more than they do and they really don't? Like, how do you handle those? Like, I'm a really easy client for a lot of people, because I'll just do as I'm told, because I'm not really, I expect you guys to be the experts. So I just sort of follow through as best I can. How do you deal with people who think they might know a lot more than they do, and you're trying to sort of help them sort of move the needle in a different direction?
Sure. I ask them for their opinion first. What do they think would be the best option? And I guess try to weigh out the pros and cons of their options in front of them. If what they're saying is, I guess, not the right thing for them, I'll tell them straight off the bat. Those kinds of personalities, I like your situation. They want to be told, or they want to be told directly, like what to do and if it's right for them.
Yeah.
And if we do tell them that and that they don't agree, then I guess from a business standpoint, I guess what exactly are you paying for? You pay. This comes down to working with the right client. So as an example, in your case, if somebody was to look out for you for help, but they said, "Nah, I know what I need to do. I'm sorted." Then why? What do you want?
Well, I've had that as well, Sal. Like, people come and offer our advice, and my advice is very different to yours. It sits in the same level, though. We're looking for a peace of mind and peace in our hearts. We're just doing it in a different way. And quite often people will tell me that I'm wrong, or that I shouldn't give that advice. And I know my advice is so strong, it works and gets people over the line in my niche, in what I do. And it's really interesting when you get people's egos get in the way of help.
I hear you. I look at it from a pros and cons perspective first, but at the end of the day, if they're not somebody that's willing to work with you, that's going to be pushing things up a hill, I don't think they're the right people to work with.
Yeah. And I think this is really important, listeners, because you get into this place where you think you can help everybody and you can't, can you?
Yeah, I hear you. We had that back in the day where we thought we could serve everyone. But then when we niche down to a specific niche, being service-based business owners, it was just we felt like we'd add so much value. Second to that, clients were a pleasure to work with. Like I like working with clients like yourself. It's less ego in the way. Yeah, it really just becomes a pleasure to do business.
Yeah, 100%. So in your personal world, you help lots of people with financial. How do you go in your own personal life? Do you take your own advice? Like how do you handle all the stuff that you know and all the stuff that you've learned? A lot of people don't implement what they help with in
Yeah,
their own personal life. How
yeah.
do you go with your own personal finances, Sal?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I what's the word that I'm thinking of here? I practice what I preach. So I do a budget. I review my budget monthly at minimum on a quarterly basis. I know how much I have left over at the end of the month, and that's that money that I have left over, which I'm investing with to save up for a deposit for a house. I'm almost at that point. So I've been looking at a couple of houses before I left for the Philippines, and I guess I'm going to look a bit more seriously when I come back. But yeah, I think from my education and the position that I'm in at the moment, not only practicing what I'm preaching, I guess benefits the clients from that perspective. But I would have never been in this position if I didn't pursue, I guess, my career and the stuff that I learned with Jackson today. Um, I used to be horrible with money. I'm a financial advisor telling you that I used to be horrible with money. Because yeah, this stuff takes time to build. It takes education, experience that they don't teach you in schools.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really important, listeners, is that we're not taught this. So we actually, like you have, you stumbled across something that is actually helping you service your life, right?
Yeah, helps clients and helps myself.
Yeah. And speaking of Singapore, why are you in Singapore, Sal?
Oh, Philippines, mate, Philippines.
Sorry, Philippines.
Um,
Why are you there?
yeah, my partner's here. She's actually in the other room.
uh, and how are things going, Sal? Like you met your partner through Aureus, yeah?
Yeah, so she was one of the support staff here working on the back end. And I guess she was really nice. Started chatting like offline. Eventually made the decision to come over here to try out the waters. Came over here and things went really well. And yeah, now I'm bringing her home with me. So she'll be in Australia from Saturday with me. So
Yeah.
that's super exciting. It's the first
Well,
time she's ever been to Australia as well.
oh, that's magic. That's so good to hear. And look, I think one thing I want to touch on this is that there's a couple of things that go wrong when we look at wealth and relationships, and the last thing is health. And quite often people sacrifice their relationships and their health for money. And you are a great example of someone who is not doing that. Like I know from chatting to you, and I know Donabelle as well, your commitment to relationship. I knew like anyone who gets that opportunity to be with someone who's so loyal like yourself is going to be lucky. That person's going to be so lucky to have. And I think this is really important, listeners, to understand, is that a lot of people who just focus on that one pinnacle, which is money, their relationships are terrible. I've worked with so many people who have had money driven partners, and they have no connection at all to their partner, and they also have a dysfunctional connection to their health. So I'd love to talk to you about, your values and what really sits in both of those areas. Like you spoke about this, and I just want to touch on this as well, because I can feel that in the type of person that you are with your family. Like your parents are retiring, you want to be able to support them. So family is a really, really big thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 100%.
So
I think it would be for everyone, right? Like
not everyone.
your parents look up for the most part. I look at it from the perspective that like your mum and dad, they raise you up to be the best person you can be. They make sacrifices for you. At the end of the day, you want to make sure you can pay them back, right? Or at the minimum, at least, make them happy that you've done something decent. So that's the one thing that I want to consider. But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned all those areas because yeah, they're all. We do a scorecard, which I review it most times, comparing those areas of your life, your relationships, your social, your family, your wealth, your health. I do my best to push through in a lot of those areas, but there is always one that falls short. But the important thing is that you just bring it to your attention so you can bring that back up and I guess have the realization that something is amiss and you need to catch up with it.
Yeah, 100%. And, tell us about the health part that you've had. I've seen you swinging on hula hoops and all sorts of things in a video. Like, what's that all about? Like, you've had such a strong connection to your health and your body for a long period of time. And it's cool that you're actually focusing on your wealth and you're not dropping it. Because also quite often this happens once you get the partner of your life, you can actually end up adding a few holes to your belt as well. You got to release a few holes. So how's that going to work for you in your future, right? Making sure that you maintain your health and well-being as well while you're working on, a new relationship and connecting to your wealth goals.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, I think self-assessing all those areas on a regular basis is super important because you might be falling short in one of those areas, but not even realizing it. And I guess it's just about being conscious of the fact that there might be something falling short so you can address it. I also believe what's helped me a lot is scheduling my time. Like I run like clockwork from, I guess, the time I wake up at 4 a.m. All the way through the day.
Hang on a minute.
Calendar,
what time?
4.
Fuck. Sorry for swearing.
Yeah, that's AM, not PM. But yeah, from the time that I'm up, I know what I'm doing. I get all my stuff sorted. I get all my exercise done. I get all my work done. I still dedicate time to like my friends and my family, that kind of stuff. So I run like clockwork. I think with the relationship side of things as well, having being open about what you need to, what's important to you, is super crucial. As an example, like I think, and I deal with it with a lot with clients as an example, right? So clients who has a partner that might be overspending as an example, or clients who are working towards or clients who are working towards different goals. However, once we have a catch up with them, like a joint catch up, and understand what exactly we're working towards and what's important to them, it bridges that gap.
100%.
So if we know, as like I tell clients as an example, like we need to save $100 a month, but $100 a month means nothing to them. When you add the fact that I need to save $100 a month, overall it will save up to, X amount, which means that you can achieve buying a house in 5 years. It starts to become a bit more practical, and that's the driving force there.
Yeah, and I think this is really important, listeners, is that getting these 3 pillars right, and this is why I wanted to really talk to you, Sal, about this, is that you're in that place where you've got those 3 pillars working really well: your health, your relationship, your connection to family. That's really, really important. Aureus is like that. Like Aureus feels like a family to me, looking from the outside in. Can you tell us what it's like being in the Aureus family? What's it feel like being in the inner environment for you?
Within Aureus?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. It's like a family. That's why I stay. So I've been with the business from day dot. And I guess the fact that it's not all suit and ties, the fact that I can have a conversation with Sam about just something so silly, and he doesn't look at me like I'm an idiot or I've got like a clown's hat on. That I appreciate. I guess no matter what the quantitative outcomes of any workplace environment suits you, if it doesn't have the qualitative aspects, then I guess that's a real struggle to have a values alignment too. I hear so many times of people, and you mentioned it in your values proposition, where clients who are chasing the dollar but fail in relationships, as an example.
Yeah.
I see so many clients or so many people where they could be on like a 300, 400, even higher salary, but they're working like 80 hours, 90 hours a week, and everything else falls apart. I'm in a position where I'm in a job. It earns me decent money to, I guess, tick off all the goals that I want to achieve. And alongside the fact that I can go to work and be happy with the people that I work with. That's what it's like working with lawyers. I guess happy where I work with, ticks off all the goals in terms of what I want to achieve personally. Yeah, I guess a big reason as to why I love it.
Yeah, I think this is really important, listeners. One of the things that we do in our academy is we help people find their purpose and to do something. I remember having, when I was in IT, I had a meltdown. That was my first ever experience, sort of looking at what I was going to be doing, thinking I'm going to be stuck in front of a computer all day. And I was looking at the way the world was, and I just didn't want to be part of that. And sometimes when you create something and you've got, you go to work and you're not thinking it's Monday, and you've got Monday-itis, can't wait till Friday, can't wait for the weekend, you're looking forward to your holidays. That means you're just not living life, because we spend most of our waking day working, right? And if we're not with the right people, or we're not doing something that we love, then and we're just doing it for the money to buy the house, retire and die, that sounds like a really shitty life to me.
I've got a funny story for you. I was telling Donabelle yesterday, actually. This is before I met her. I used to have that feeling, that like ponderance of life, but the other way around. By the other way around, I mean, it got to a Friday at the end of the week, and I was like, shit, there's 2 days of the week where I've got like nothing to do. And then it gets to Sunday. Yeah, it gets to Sunday. And then when you're, I guess, working, you're back at work, you have that communication with other people. You're like, yes. It was weird. And it's actually quite, or it's not as common as obviously the other way around, but it's actually a thing. I remember reading articles about it. Other people suffer the same thing. I was like, wow. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there.
I love that. I love that spin, Sal, because there's a lot of people. I was chatting to a couple of people that I won't mention their name.
Yeah.
And they were on holidays, and I said, "Oh, how's your break going?" They're like, "Oh, I don't like my breaks." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I could see a lack of life balance, and this is what happens, if you don't have that right partner, or you don't have things happening on that weekend that fulfills you. You can actually live for work, and I did that. When I split up with my ex-wife, I didn't see my daughter, so I just went to work. At the weekends, I just spent a lot of time alone, and it can be like that. You're looking forward to your Monday as opposed, because you love what you do too.
Yeah, it becomes a grind, I guess. But I think for me as well, I fill my day with stuff. I do my best to make sure I always keep busy, just so I don't have that feeling. And I guess reflecting back on those areas, going to training with all my mates, not the day being monotonous where you wake up at 8:30, go to work by 9, come home by 5, have dinner, go to bed. That sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does. And, it's one of those things that we've got to learn to be able to, see what in our own life fulfills us. Right. So I'm one of those people, like, you're a jack in the box. I'm really good at actually being still and not having to do something. And it's one of those things.
Can't do that.
Yeah. And that's something that you probably may not have to do or want to do. Right. I've got that capacity to be completely still in my own space. And that's what we teach, to be able to do that. And it's one of those things, we quite often need something to sustain us, to fulfill us, to make us to feel good. And if we've got, like, we're okay, Sal, if we're doing things that actually are fulfilling. And imagine what it'd be like if you had shit show work, shit show weekend, shit show relationships, and everything falling apart. And you were just monotonously doing those all day, right? This is where people go, they have their breakdown. So you're lucky, you'll end up, fulfilling everything, because you've got what you do makes sense. You love what you do, and it's great for you, which gives a sense of essence. The thing that can happen, though, imagine what would happen if you broke your legs and your arms in one go.
Yeah, I probably couldn't throw a punch, that's for sure.
You couldn't throw a punch.
I wouldn't know what to do. I couldn't
Yeah.
throw a punch. Nah.
And that's one of the things that we've got to learn to be able to do, to be able to fulfill that bucket as we go through life, to make sure that they're not, if our lean-to falls apart, what do we do if we have nothing to lean on, right? And that's our challenge in life, because quite often, I've worked with people who are sprinters, and they come and see me after they broke their legs, or they couldn't sprint anymore, and then meltdown. I'd have to turn them around, figure out, well, what was it that was inside that built that fire and furnace and directed in another way, because they lost their thing, in quotes. And this can happen with lots of us. We have our things, but if one or two of them gets taken away, then we can be screwed. So we've got to figure out how to make sure that we fill our internal bucket as well as we're going along through life. It takes time. It's one of those things. So you make sure, this is my suggestion to you, Sal, just make sure if something gets taken away, you got to make sure you have a backup as well, backup plan.
Keep it in mind.
Yeah, keep all of these things in mind, because I've worked with thousands and thousands of people over the years, and when something gets taken away, then sometimes we're at a loss. It's a bit of a challenge. So, Sal, I'd really like to put something out to you. Like, what suggestion would you make or give to someone who needed help with their financial stuff, and they had no idea where to go, and you weren't promoting them to go to Aureus, you were just wanting to give them some advice around what thing they could do if they were feeling like they were in a little bit of a struggle? What would you tell them?
Yeah. Start with a budget. It sounds like so common sense. The clients that I speak to, I just had a meeting with a client yesterday. It was the first meeting that I had with them. Never done a budget in their life. Probably 90% of clients that I work with have no idea what their numbers are. And if you have an understanding of what your income is, what your expenses are, and what you have left over, that's your operating system for everything moving forwards. Grab your cheeky things that I get clients to do. Have a look at your bank statements just to see like what you've spent on an average on a monthly basis. Your groceries. You get the receipts, the shopper dockets every single week, whack them on your fridge and have a running tally of what you do per week. If you don't have that down pat, everything else will fall apart. And it's crazy. Like, I had a client, and I use this one as an example, who never did this, and they had, what was it, $2,500 a month left over once we crunched all the numbers. $2,500. They never knew they had it.
Yeah.
So
wow.
If that's, then if that's the case, then where's it going? Like, there's holes in your bucket somewhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
it's something so simple.
much. Yeah, exactly. And then having that much left over, but only like $2,000 in savings, that's a flag. So always start with the budget first. Really, it's that magic number at the end of it, in terms of, I guess, A, are you able to meet your life's costs comfortably? And B, do you have enough money left over where you can do all the big things like buy a home, like pay down your mortgage, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I say to clients, sorry, mate. I say to clients, like, don't focus on the sexy and sophisticated stuff. You bombarded in the news of things like what's the latest crypto to invest in, or what's the best way to dodge the tax man when it comes to doing your tax returns. Like, it's not gonna, all that stuff isn't gonna work for you if you don't know your numbers.
Yeah. I think this is really, really important. Listeners, numbers still scare me a little bit. I do know my numbers now, though. Still working with them. And I think this is like something so simple is something that nobody does. Right. And I think this is where we need to start from something. And, you could just, as Sal said, just have a look and see what you're doing per month and see where you're either shredding it or where you can save it and what you can do to actually look after the most important thing. Because one thing I know from where I am now, having 1 year with your help, Sal, has completely changed how I can see my future. Even that first moment where you could said, if you're earning this same amount and we do all of these things, by the time you're 70, you'll have over $6 million in wealth. And I don't know whether you saw this, but my eyes just went, OMG. I was just like, because I didn't know. and I didn't know there was a possibility. And then I saw that I'd have absolutely more than enough for my retirement simply because I had the right person providing the insights and the way to get there. And if I didn't have you show me how, what, and when, then I wouldn't have a plan of action to get there. And I probably wouldn't be in the position that I'm forecasting now. And that's only a small forecast. That was with the amount that I'm earning now. And we've got some big goals to focus with our academy. So we want to at least 10 times where we are right now, at least. So what I'm going to have to do, I get an expert like you, Sal, to make sure that when we get our business humming more, we have to reassess and work out, well, what can we do with the extra that we're actually supplying ourselves? Because a lot of people, you can be a millionaire. I know this. I've met millionaires who earn seven figures and they spent $800,000 to get to seven figures. So they're really only on $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
What's the point in making that much money and taking that much money to get there? It's stupid. But I've known lots of businesses that have done it.
Yeah. And it's a good point you made, actually, in terms of, I guess, your eyes lighting up with those numbers there. Do you remember that exercise? I guess this is tip number 2. The first thing we always work on is the budget. But do you remember going through with me and Anya as well, that annual roadmap exercise, getting clear on all your goals and whatnot?
Oh my God. Because you don't think, if you don't write it down, it's in your head. You sort of want some things, but now we've got some really tangible things. And now we know what we're wanting. Like, I'm not a real wants guy. Anya is a wants girl. So it's nice to have both of us doing that. But just having a roadmap and a destination. We never had a destination until last year.
So many people don't do that exercise. So many people don't have an idea on what they're clear on. And it's not to put the fear tactics in anyone's head, but sometimes I see clients where they just leave it too late. They get to like their 50s, late 55s. And I had a client the other day where they said, and they were only in their 40s. If I started this a couple of years earlier, imagine the position that I'd be in. Take those two, I guess, simple tactics today, where you do a budget, get clear on what you want, and start making a change for the better. Because 1 year, like you mentioned, 1 year can make a really big difference. Heck, if we look at that lady who was saving $2,500 a month, what's that times 12? That's over $26,000 a year.
Yeah, it's a huge amount, and and that can go miles in front. You can end up miles in front. So now I'm like my mum. I can't say how old my mum is because she's a woman, but I'm going to be one of those people who's going to be working probably for the next 25 years, and I'm 50 because I love what I do. So I've got a really good roadmap now to actually build where I want to go. And I think someone like yourself, Sal, who's got that expertise, we need someone to educate us and to get us there. So I really want to thank you for your time today.
That's okay, mate. Anytime.
And how do we get in touch with you? Do we just hook onto Aureus? How do we get in touch with you and to get some intel about what it is that you can help your clients with?
Sure thing. Always on our website, aureusfinancial.com.au. Shoot me an email, sal.miceli, Miceli, at aureusfinancial.com.au. Heck, even give me a bell on my personal line. All those details, man, I can pass them on to you. I'm always available.
No worries. Thanks so much for your time today, Sal. And if you like this podcast, I'd love it if you could like and share it. I think this topic and conversation is so essential for everybody who wants to actually create a life of freedom and a legacy for their family and beyond. So thank you so much, Sal, for hanging out with me today.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't buy it, so add me as a friend, and if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.